I get it, there's a ton of laptops that look amazing on a product page, promising endless horsepower, gorgeous screens, and a sleek chassis, but when you finally open the box you're left with a machine that feels like a compromise. You've probably already imagined the frustration of spending a good chunk of money on a workstation, only to discover it can't keep up with the CAD files you need to render at lunch, or that the ports you counted on are missing when you try to plug in your external monitor. That hesitation is why I'm doing this deep dive, to help you avoid that costly mistake before you hit buy. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The Lenovo ThinkPad P16s Gen 4 is positioned as a mobile workstation that should sit between a typical business laptop and the heavyweight monster workstations you see in engineering labs. At first glance, the headline specs Ryzen 9 HXPR0370, 64GB of DDR5, a 16-inch WUXGA display make it sound like a no-brainer for anyone who needs raw compute in a portable form factor. But the real question is how those pieces translate into day-to-day productivity, especially when you're juggling demanding software like SolidWorks, Adobe Creative Cloud, or data science notebooks on the road. Let's start with the chassis. ThinkPads have a reputation for durability, and the P16s doesn't stray from that tradition. The magnesium alloy roll cage feels solid, and the keyboard still has that classic ThinkPad tactile feedback, which is a lifesaver when you spend hours typing code or annotating schematics. The track point is still there for those who love that little nub, though most people will gravitate to the glass-top touchpad that's surprisingly responsive. The real win here is the weight. At just under 5 pounds, it's lighter than many 15-inch workstations, making it feasible to carry to client sites or sit in a coffee shop without feeling like you're hauling a brick. Now, the screen. The 16-inch WUXGA panel, 19201200, isn't a 4K Retina display, but the extra vertical real estate compared to a typical 1080p laptop is noticeable when you have long spreadsheets or stacked timelines. Color accuracy is decent out of the box, which is enough for most creative workflows, though if you're a professional photographer you might still want an external calibrated monitor. The brightness peaks around 300 nits, so you won't be squinting in a bright office, but you'll notice a dip in direct sunlight. In real-world use, say, reviewing a 3D model while on a train, the display holds up well. The anti-glare coating cuts down reflections enough that you can keep your focus without constantly adjusting. Performance is where the P16s tries to earn its workstation badge. The Ryzen 9 HXPR0370 is a 12-core, 24-thread CPU, and paired with 64GB of DDR5 RAM, it can handle simultaneous engineering simulations and video renders without dropping frames. In my own testing, opening a 500MB SolidWorks assembly, running a finite element analysis, and having a couple of Chrome tabs open didn't cause any noticeable lag. The integrated graphics are decent for basic 3D work, but if you're planning on real-time ray tracing or high-end GPU-accelerated simulations, you'll want an external GPU or a model with a dedicated NVIDIA card. The laptop does come with a modest GPU option, usually an RTX 3050, which is enough for most product development tasks, but it's not a replacement for a full workstation GPU if you're rendering complex scenes at 4K. One of the biggest practical strengths is the connectivity suite. The P16s packs a full-size HDMI 2.1 port, a USB-C with Thunderbolt 4, 2 USB-A 3.2 Gen 1 ports, an Ethernet RJ45 jack, and an SD card reader. That means you can plug straight into a 4K monitor, attach a fast external SSD, and stay wired to a network without needing a dongle hub. In a real office, this translates to a cleaner desk and fewer adapters, something I've seen many reviewers miss. The Thunderbolt 4 port also supports external GPU enclosures, so you can upgrade graphics performance later without swapping the whole laptop. Battery life is a more nuanced story. Lenovo lists a 93 Wh battery, and on paper that sounds impressive. In practice, when you're running a heavy CAD file, the battery drops to about 45 hours of mixed usage, still decent for a workstation, but not a full workday. If your workflow is lighter, say, a mix of email, spreadsheets, and occasional rendering, you can stretch it closer to 8 hours. The takeaway: if you need to be unplugged for a full 8-hour stretch while doing intensive work, you'll want to bring a charger or consider a larger external battery pack. Thermal behavior is another hidden trade-off. The P16s uses Lenovo's dual-fan cooling system, which keeps the CPU at reasonable temperatures under load, but you'll hear the fans ramp up noticeably during sustained rendering. The fan noise is audible but not distracting, it's more of a whir than a roar, and the laptop's chassis does a decent job of containing the sound. However, if you work in a quiet recording studio or a shared library, the fan might be a mild annoyance. On the flip side, the cooling is effective enough that the CPU doesn't throttle.